Most people think that over the course of their retirement, their savings will gradually be eroded until there's nothing left. But here's a surprise. A lot of people end their retirement with 3 or 4 times as much in savings as they began their retirement with. Not because they won the lottery, and not because they were investment geniuses. It's usually because they ended up spending less than they thought they were going to, and their savings kept growing. If you're working longer than you want to because you're trying to hit some magic number like $1 million, you might be working longer than you have to. My name is Clark Atterbury. I'm a financial advisor. For the last 30 years, I've been helping people manage their investments and work toward their retirement. One of the biggest surprises I share with clients is this. The fear of running out of money often keeps people working longer than they needed to, and later keeps them from spending the money they worked so hard to accumulate. Let me share with you some research that shows why this happens and what it means for you. One of the clearest pieces of evidence comes from a study by BlackRock, the biggest investment manager in the world. In their study, titled To Spend or Not to Spend, they looked at the actual accounts of thousands of retirees. Here's what they found. 17 years into retirement, about 4 in 10 retirees had more money than when they started. Another 3 in 10 still had about 80 to 100% of their starting balance. Only about 3 in 10 had drawn down below 80% of their original balance. The Journal of Financial Planning found a similar pattern in a study they published. They looked at retirees' spending during the tough market years of 2000 through 2008. Even during that stretch, with 2 major market downturns, many people held steady or even saw their balances go up. That tells you something. It isn't just about bull markets, it's about behavior. Financial planner and researcher Michael Kitces dug deeper in his article, Why Retirees Don't Draw Down Portfolios. He modeled what happens to a couple who retire with $1 million in a balanced portfolio. In his analysis, savings often grew for the first 10 years after retirement, peaking before withdrawals finally started to bring the balance down. He also looked at the famous 4% withdrawal rule, first laid out by Bill Bergen in 1994 in the Journal of Financial Planning. That rule was meant to survive the very worst markets in history, like the Great Depression and the 1970s stagflation period. Kitces found that in more than 2/3 of the historical scenarios he studied, people who used the 4% withdrawal rate finished retirement with at least twice what they started with. In quite a few of these scenarios, they ended up with 5 times what they started with. That's not a fluke. It shows how often people underspend because they're cautious. Now let's look at how much people actually spend. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics 2023 Consumer Expenditure Survey, households headed by someone 65 to 74 spend about $60,000 a year, or about $5,000 a month. Households aged 75 and older spend about $53,500 a year, or about $4,400 a month. Spending usually goes down as people age. Yes, healthcare costs can go up, but spending on things like travel, dining out, and entertainment tends to ease off. Now, factor in Social Security. According to the Social Security Administration's 2023 Annual Statistical Supplement, the average monthly benefit for a retired worker is about $1,900. For a typical married couple, that's about $3,800 to $4,000 a month, roughly $45,000 to $48,000 per year. That steady check covers a big share of everyday expenses for most retirees. That means they may not need to draw as much from their savings as they thought they would. Let's do some simple math. Say a couple wants to spend $60,000 a year. If Social Security provides $48,000, they only need to take $12,000 a year from their savings. At a conservative 4% withdrawal rate, they'd only need about $300,000 to cover that gap. Now suppose a couple wants to live a little larger, say $75,000 a year. With the same Social Security income, they'd need to pull $27,000 a year from savings. At that same 4% withdrawal rate, that would take about $675,000 in savings. Even that more comfortable lifestyle is still well below the headline $1 million figure. So why don't more people spend confidently? The math is often fine. The real challenge is mindset. People who have saved for decades are used to saving. Spending feels like breaking a rule. They also hate to see their balance drop. That's loss aversion. Even when they know their strategy is sound, it feels risky to spend. That's largely due to uncertainty. No one knows exactly how long they'll live. No one knows what inflation or markets will do next. That fear causes a lot of people to hold back. A couple came to me in their early 60s with about $750,000 invested. They were nervous about whether they could afford the kind of retirement they wanted. We developed a strategy, timed their Social Security benefits, set up a smart investment mix, and outlined a withdrawal strategy they could trust. Over the next 25 years, they traveled, helped their grandkids with college, and even remodeled their home. By their late 80s, they still had about $2 million left. That wasn't luck. It was the result of a strategy they could follow, one that let them enjoy their money instead of sitting on it. The takeaway is simple. A lot of people work longer than they have to because they're chasing a number. They give up some of their best years, their healthy, active years, for the sake of a target that might not even be necessary. Now, the answer isn't to spend wildly. It's to have a clear, evidence-based strategy. Start by knowing what your retirement lifestyle really costs. Write it down. Be honest about what you spend now and how that might change as you get older. Then look at your reliable income, Social Security, any pensions, maybe part-time work or rental income. The rest has to come from your savings. That gap is what really matters, not some headline number like $1 million. Then develop a spending approach that lets you adjust over time. Maybe spend a little more when markets do well, or pull back a little when they don't. That small amount of flexibility goes a long way. It's also a great idea to keep a few years of spending in cash or short-term bonds. That way, when markets are down, you don't feel forced to sell your stocks at a bad time. It's as much about peace of mind as it is about math. Whatever approach you choose, review it from time to time. Life changes, markets change, and a good plan should adjust with them. At the end of the day, retirement isn't about hitting some arbitrary number. It's about living the life you pictured. It's about seeing your grandkids, traveling when you want to, and having the freedom to enjoy the years you worked so hard for. Financial clarity isn't the end goal. It's what lets you live with confidence. That's what we focus on at Atterbury Investment Management. We help people align their investments with their goals so they can spend confidently and enjoy their life. If that's something you'd like help with, there's a link in the description to learn more. I'd also love to hear from you. Would you rather leave retirement with a bigger balance than you started with, or spend freely while you can? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might help someone else. For more on investing and retirement planning, watch these videos next.